Call the meeting to order for Monday, February 12, 2024 at 4:30 p.m. Roll call, please.
Sagami,
Here.
Hardinger.
Here.
Hubbard,
Here.
Lopes Serrero,
Here.
Loper.
Here.
Thank you. I'll have to welcome my guests. I think there's three of them here. Next item is public comment, item 4. I think there's one on there.
Yeah, you just said we got one,
Jim Pincinel.
and then do you want to talk now or as the agenda items come up?
I would prefer to wait until, I think it's, was it 11 and 13?
I think that's what you had on there, yeah.
11 and 13, please.
You wanna wait that long, huh?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
So, item 5, approval of April 24th Public Work and Utility Committee minutes. What's your wishes?
Move to approve.
We do have one correction to make. Or I guess,
Too soon.
so line 3 or we have the attendance showing that Luis was via Zoom. And then the rest of it, Luis was here in person, so I guess we just correct that. We
Okay,
had
please make a note of that. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it, thank you. The staff report, CIP update, Michael?
Maybe not a whole lot of physical movement on construction over the winter here. We do have the Jelnik Avenue, Mock Miller to Alderson project currently out for bid.
Do we need any right away there?
No, that one's strictly a repaving. There's a couple curb ramps, I guess a lot of curb ramps being redone, and then storm sewer inlets. So, but it's not a full reconstruction. It's I don't know, what do we call it? More of a rehabilitation project. So that one's out for bid. The East Jelnik one, we will have a I forget what it's called. Maybe an affidavit of right of way for the board meeting to just declare where the 66-foot right of way is on East Jelnik, as that was a little ambiguous over the years throughout various right of way dedications and then CSMs between Kirk Street and Von Kennel. I'll have that on the board agenda. And then thinking we'll need to have some special assessment meetings coming up. I'm thinking maybe in April for both the East Jelnik and Weston Avenue projects. Let's see, still got, I have a meeting finally scheduled with the owners of Arrow Sports Bar for this Friday to kind of go over the realignment of Fuller Street with them and get a better understanding of what maybe constraints they have or want to keep, you know, what access points there are critical to them versus what they're okay with letting become a new road or vacated, so.
Do they know why you're going there?
They do, yes. So just
Maybe
trying,
you wanna send them some info that.
there's 2 sons and a mom involved. I've talked to all 3 of them individually. But was trying to get all 3 of them together so that, so finally have that.
Any preliminaries?
Realistically, right now, we just want to come straight, essentially from the Mountain Bay Trail south, along their west property line as close as possible without, that way the house that's there, which they own, they rent out. There's no need to bulldoze, and there's no weird squiggle, you know, tight turn curvature in the road. So I think we can ideally make just a nice curve right near the Mountain Bay Trail and just bring it south, so.
And they own all that land all the way?
They own all of it up north. I mean, it have a little bit of acquisition from Weston Lanes then too.
Yeah.
In the far east of the Weston Lanes property, but I think we'd also then probably want to have their parking lot be able to connect to the new Fuller Street and probably close off their one entrance then that would be really close to that new intersection with Schofield Ave, so. We'll have a few things to still work through there, but just wanted to kind of get that, and also I guess a contract amendment with Becker Hoppy then for the additional work and survey for the realignment there.
Do you have this one in the?
I don't have it in the packet yet, cause I try to get the scope of what needs to be done there first. Better
I
defined.
didn't see it, so. I was-
Yeah, no, that one's not in the packet. That'd be probably next month.
Okay,
Yes, we got some other survey and preliminary design work ongoing. Got results of RFP for Ross Ave, Riverbend to Paul's with the town in the packet. Let's see. I'm gonna work on also an agreement with the town for the cost share for that Ross Avenue project. And well, 7 and 8 are going through a startup as of this morning, so you'll see quite a few people out there over this week and possibly into early next week getting the wells charged and pumped to waste right now, so we can get safe water samples. Have all that.
how long you have to pump it?
Well, they're pumping all day today. They're taking a sample and then they'll do the same thing tomorrow. So as long as we get 2 consecutive safe water samples, then they will charge the water inside the pump house. We can get the chemical feed systems
Where you discharge all this water?
over the bank towards the Eau Claire River. So pretty much straight west. And the well 4 PFAS treatment plant updates will be going out for bid likely later this month. Yeah,
We didn't talk about Ross Avenue and Money Trunk X intersection.
that one's still on, SEH has been out, they got most of their survey work done. So they're working on that design at the moment, and the county also has their corporate council reviewing the cost share agreement with them as well. So,
Okay,
Is DOT, did we go past the DOT
Oh.
on also?
yeah, so that one, there's really not been a whole lot new. Strand is working on a construction grant application for this spring. I believe those are due in April. So
DOT agreed to any cost sharing on that?
they have not agreed to any cost sharing. They say there is no benefit to them, so they will let us use their land, but they're not feeling like they have any reason to contribute financially to it. So our best bet is to try to get money from other parts of the state, like the DNR. That would give you money for improving water quality, so. As an argument of mine, right, like we do everything we can, we get held to certain rules and regulations, but then when the state has infrastructure, they don't have to necessarily follow the same rules. Anyhow,
Otherwise the gold makes the rules.
yeah. So,
anything else?
no, that's probably the highlights there. And then, yeah, I guess similar, I guess, a bunch of intermunicipal agreements, so Rothschild and Schofield working with them too on the cost sharing for that DOT pond. Since there is really,
Okay. And they're gonna let us build it there, right?
they'll let us build it there, correct?
And they don't contribute to it.
Correct.
Do we get the full credit then for
We get the full credit for the
Water
treatment,
treatment.
so.
So that project on Cedar Creek, MSA gonna work out the easement, right?
Correct, yeah.
When they're starting?
Probably as soon as they get our Weston Avenue right of way taken care of. I told them that was priority number one, is to get
Okay.
Weston Avenue
How's
finished
that
up.
project come? When is that gonna be done?
I should have I have all the nominal payment parcel reports in the right of way to bring to the board next week, Monday.
Okay.
But then there's still the real estate negotiation process that they're in, so. So it'd be the same people with MSA doing both, so I guess I directed them to prioritize getting that Weston Avenue taken care of first.
I hope they don't back up. That's all I
No.
know.
I don't think they will.
All right. Question for Michael? Okay, there's no action needed for this item. The street operation update, item 7.
Yeah, we're, everything's running kind of status quo with the lack of snow. We're still been clearing out in the right of way some with the mini excavator. We actually stopped doing that because it got so warm that it was starting to rip up the ditches some. But they're talking colder weather coming this week, so there's some other roads where we can take that out. The bulk of the work that we were doing was on Prohaska Park. Cut the trees, rubbed the stumps out and stripped the topsoil off. We hauled it to Ryan Street. There's more work that has to happen out there. Today the guys were out patching, spent the day patching. We had a few people off. So basically just gonna keep up with what's happening until we get some snow and switch gears again. But we've been, if you look at this report I put together, all I did was compare last year, the start of the season from fall of 2022 through the end of January 23. And if you look at the numbers compared to this year, last year we spent approximately $150,000 more in that time period than we did this year. So we're money ahead, you know, the salt's in the shed and we haven't to take all of the salt that we have to take this year. We have to take another 1,000 ton yet. That's according to the contract that we signed with the DOT, but there's enough room in the shed to fit it. So we're sitting good that way. So I guess for now, we're kind of focusing on, we have some outfalls too, some minor outfalls that need to be cleaned up around, cut some brush and different things. So we're just gonna keep moving forward with what we have in the hopper right now.
Can we go back? Do we have to get so much salt every year for DOT?
The way it works is this, they will come to us probably the end of March and ask us for numbers on what we want for the next season.
Okay, you order every year.
Yep, you order every year.
Oh,
You can start taking it in August. They have what's called an early fill, then a seasonal fill, and then they have what's called a vendor reserve, which is 20% of your order. So this year we ordered 2,000 tons of salt. We have to take the 2,000. If we don't, and it sits on the dock, they charge us X amount of dollars a ton, but we have the room. I did talk to Sean Lears from Compass Minerals, and he said by March, he'll know what a price increase would be on salt, probably. Typically, it's about 3% a year. So he's gonna let us know, and if we've got the room, the 400 ton of vendor reserve, if they're gonna increase the price 3%, we'd probably be wiser to buy it. So once he gets back to me, Sean does, then we'll figure out where we're going with the extra 400 ton. If we put 1,400 more ton in that shed, it'll be fairly full. But the sand, the north half of it, or north third of it, approximately is filled with sand, and we're sitting good with sand. We've got enough sand for next year probably too, which is a good thing, you know, it doesn't hurt anything. So that's how it works with the DOT. So by April 30th, we have to take our seasonal order take at least 1,000 more ton. This year, though, the salt right now on this contract is $100.40 a ton. And a cubic yard of salt is about 2,300 pounds, so it's roughly a ton to the yard. So that we're gonna have to take.
Thank you.
So yeah, so we're approximately 150,000 ahead. That's a little speculative because we still pay the guys when they're here. It's just we're not doing winter maintenance, you know what I mean? That's what I used to come up with the numbers, but we are ahead of the game that way, so that's a good thing. And the same with the equipment. That includes what an equipment cost would be if we were paying ourselves at the state rate for what it costs to run those trucks and that equipment at an hourly rate that the DOT uses. So, getting back to then what we're up to, it's basically, we're still getting some stuff done in the shop here from when we moved in. The guys are building a steel rack now. There's a picture there, they're fabricating it. So we got, getting things kind of settled in yet. Everything isn't complete. It's just an ongoing process, Last week it was warm enough where we went out and we actually managed to vacuum some of the sumps and the inlets over by, on the south side of Weston Avenue from Birch over to Highway X. So it's getting a little colder now. We'll have to see what happens. They did some sweeping too, which is kind of nice because we have a hard time getting to this stuff in the summer. It's just because you have so much else going. So we'll see what happens with spring now, but it's a priority to try and get some of that done. So.
What is the steel storage rack?
What?
What is the steel storage rack for?
Right now, all the steel that we had they had like a big rack over at the old shop. And what they're building is a different rack where you don't have it all one big mess, you know what I mean? If you look at the way that thing is, there's like cubby holes, so you can have your different size steel and put it on the rack. Cause that last bay on the north end of the shop is where all the fabrication takes place. It's where the welders are and the milling machine and various other things. So they're just building a rack so we can get the stuff off the floor and put it somewhere. So that way, when you want to inventory your steel or you need different things, for building things, fixing.
You have somebody who designed it.
He did, I'm sure.
Okay.
Why you got,
I guess, just the thought of it, do we know it's made to handle what it's gonna?
the weight? Yeah. Yeah, it's more or less, we're not gonna stock a whole semi full of iron, but different size angle irons, different stuff like that, so they can kind of sort it out and get it in a rack. Brian Schmidt, he's our shop superintendent foreman. He worked at Colby for 20+ years, and I trust what he does out there, So,
I just, yeah, 'cause usually the manufacturers that sell those weight them by each, we have a lot of them, and they're all engineered weight, and weight listed.
liability wise, right. Mhm. Yeah. I wouldn't think that he would be overloading it to the point that that's gonna happen.
Okay.
So they, and they do some of the in-house fabrication, different things. We'll make some things, just to help ourselves out rather than having to spend money if we have to go buy something. If we could do it, we'll do it. That's kind of the
Okay. Anything else?
I feel like it does it for me.
You have a picture here of Paraska Park. Is that being done right now, this work?
Yeah.
Grading, you doing it right now?
What happened was we cut the trees here. They cut the trees. Yeah, that's actually looking to the west. But off of Weston Avenue is where the driveway entrance is gonna come. It will be east of Ryan Street. That's where the main entrance will come in. There will be a parking area there. They cut the trees and they stumped it and they stripped the topsoil. We hauled it to the salvage topsoil pile at Ryan Street. So now what we're gonna do is stake it and get grades set. Depending, if it gets really cold, then we stop. But where the excavator's sitting now, that's all topsoil that was stripped years ago to make a road that runs parallel with Weston Avenue, runs east and west. It doesn't come out to Ryan per se. So this topsoil that's sitting there there's more than we'd ever use there. So they're loading it out and hauling it to Ryan Street, putting it on our salvage topsoil there.
Yeah, then you're gonna need some back in there anyway.
There'll be enough. We're not hauling it all out and hauling it back.
Okay,
No. Yeah.
question? All right, thank you. Utility operation update?
Yeah, we had one of our big ticket items that happens every few years. We had our DNR sanitary survey. When I created the report, we didn't have the report available at the time, but it came late Friday, so I don't know if anybody had a chance to look at it. If you got questions now, or I don't know if we want to discuss it now. There was nothing real significant. Usually it's kind of detailed by your significant deficiencies, where we had none. And then just some other deficiencies, which I need to revisit it with our DNR rep, that some of these, I believe, had already been taken care of previously, so we'll have to go through it with him, and we have until March to get a plan together. Some of these things that are noted as, what are they, non-conforming? A lot of those will be done with some of our future well upgrades and PFAS treatments and well 1 over to well 5, and a lot of these things will be remedied. And the non-conforming is basically, at one point they were conforming structures and things changed, and now the DNR says they're non-conforming features. So we'll be remedying those over the next handful of years here, so.
So when we have to do, Michael, you didn't tell me that, when you're gonna do that, slip lining, maybe?
So those are required when you do a well upgrade, or a, what do they call it here?
Was that about the 200 feet
Yeah.
separation distance one?
Yeah, so if the sewer mains in the area are scheduled for reconstruction, they need to be relocated at least 200 feet, or they need to be replaced with C900 or slip line, so. Like I said, when that infrastructure would be, slated or scheduled for replacement is when we would need to make those upgrades, so we don't have to do it right now or within, 5 years, it's just when we would get to that point of replacing those pipes, we gotta make sure we just don't put them back as is, we have to
Okay,
upgrade the pipe to water main classification or slip line them, or completely move them so they're 200 feet away, but in a lot of our locations, that's not gonna be possible.
you can't do it with any of them, I look at that,
Yeah.
okay?
So I think all in all, it was a pretty good report. We don't,
How much chlorine leak did you have before you repaired that in Alta Verde?
which one are we talking about?
First item, well, number 1, Alta Verde, chlorine leak repair. Right underwater, water, 2023.
Not part of the sanitary survey, just part of your report.
Oh. Under the water,
Yeah,
Yeah,
under Alta Verde,
Well, 1.
right?
it just says chlorine leak
Oh,
repair.
yeah,
how
no,
much
I
it
mean,
leak before you repair it?
no, these are when we have our daily inspections. I mean, they'll note that, it's just a wore out tube or a wore out fitting that they'll note that needs to be repaired. I think there was. Thought there was another chlorine leak. Maybe that was oil isolation valve. So they just note when they go in there and when they go in, they can smell that there's maybe a slight drip, and they'll just take the pump and see if it's a fitting or what have you and just repair it. So, it's not a huge ticket item, but it takes the guys some time. So we like to track it. So if we start seeing that well 1 chlorine pump is leaking over and over and over, well, it's probably time to just maybe look for a new pump instead of repairing it constantly.
Okay,
But yeah, it's not like
It's not like it was,
showing
dumping
out or.
gallons of chlorine out.
That's good.
Yeah, and we would get alarms if there was something. The scales would be notifying us that there's something wrong with the amount of chlorine that we're using. So we would have an alarm for our operators to come maintenance that immediately. So,
I don't know, last year I could smell it in the house. Actually, I taste it too. If you smell it, you can taste it.
well, was it
I brought it back to the meeting.
in the shower? If you're in the shower, you can
No.
smell it a lot easier when it's hot and airborne.
Well, it's easy to smell. You open the water, it's come out, that's it. All right, anything else?
We have, there was a number of, well maintenance items. Our guys been really working. We had our old meter testing bench at the treatment plant. We need room for the permanent treatment the treatment plant, for wells 3 and 4. So they are in the process of relocating that over to the utility area in the new building here. With the warm weather, we were able to also pull a few of our lift stations that had kind of been acting up. We replaced an impeller over at the Ryan Street one. We did get out and do some televising until our televising camera went out on us yet again. We're able to sewer jet some of our bad spots with the nice weather. The SCADA projects, we had another meeting with PJ Cortons this morning. All our fiber portion of that should be done. SCADA, they should be coming in the next couple weeks to start tying everything together. I think they said a couple weeks. Is that what they said? I think so.
Yeah, next week.
I think they're hoping to have the SCADA up and running March-ish. Digger's Hotline, not quite so many locates as usual. Stacy's still working us with a lot of work orders. I think Michael touched on most of our contract work. And then I guess we have our customers added, our water pump numbers for the last few months, our wastewater flows and lift station hours. And we added another SOP to our list. And I guess, I don't know if we had a chance to touch, we had 5 operators. We're now down to 4 operators. Trevor Skirvin decided to leave us.
What'd you do, Josh?
Oh, hopefully it wasn't me.
Actually, that's a good point, Michael. You said in the springtime, we're gonna flush those out once the wells are approved. Seeing as with the warmer weather, can we do it a little sooner?
Like the water mains?
Yeah.
Well, once we start, you don't necessarily want to stop
Take
Usually about 10 weeks.
10 weeks.
to get through the whole system.
Yeah, I was thinking
Um,
like a week. It's way off.
yeah.
Okay.
Also-
Let's start with the warmer weather, 'cause I know you got folks in Rochelle complaining a little bit.
I think the problem is if you get cold now, then we have a problem.
Yeah.
I just didn't realize it took that. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I'm anxious to get our full flushing done.
Yeah.
We haven't been able to with some of our wells being down, and we've flushed, but
Yeah,
not the scour velocities that we always have done.
you can taste it downhill.
Yeah, I know. It's trying to tell people to hold on. And we've tried to go around and kind of do some water movements
Well,
to
yeah.
kind of get some stuff, but
Yeah,
sometimes you're shooting yourself in the foot even trying to do it. You're just disturbing other areas.
I've explained it to them
Yeah.
and they're like, okay, makes sense, you know,
Yeah.
like, you know.
Fast forward a few months and hopefully we'll be able to get some of this
Yeah.
stuff cleaned up and
So, excuse me,
No.
when is the SCADA gonna be done?
well, they're scheduled to be done in March.
March 15, March 30, March. All the underground is done, right?
All the fibers installed, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they had one little item, they had to readjust at well 7 and 8. They had to relocate where they put one of the panels in there. They had to get it out of one room. So now they're gonna be having, they have one guy in town now starting to hook up the SCADA computer at the treatment plant. And then they'll be going to all the other remote locations to kind of do some stuff. I had to call with AT&T today because there was something with the IMEIs or something wasn't reading. So it's getting worked on in the background. So there's a few questions popping up, but they did say they're gonna have, a dedicated crew. I think had some crews wrapping up a different project, but they're hoping to hit us with a bunch of different guys to get to some locations. So it's not one here, kind of stringing it out. So, but March is coming quick, so.
I think you did a pretty good job. You didn't have any gas line, any water line, anything at all. At least I didn't hear it.
They had one.
They did?
Yeah.
They had one just to the south of us on Ross. They went through a
Sewer.
private sewer line, so.
Because the other company, you had the gas line at the beginning of Masker Street
Just hit them all.
and then had it again at the Masker and Ross.
Consistency.
Okay, anything else?
Well 7 and 8, what is the backup system for those? Is that,
Backup power system?
yeah, so you have a genset for that?
There is. Yes. Yep, there's a generator. So our DNR, we have Kyle Priest, our DNR rep. He'll be up here to do a complete inspection of that. we thought today, maybe tomorrow, but he'll probably be up here more Thursday to double check, make sure everything's per plan and see if there's anything we gotta tweak on it, so.
And because I just was curious, because they mentioned all the backup systems, but nothing for septic, because you don't have them online yet, so they're not listed on their report.
Right. There's nothing quite yet to report on them, so we'll be. Yeah, that's a good point. Next month, maybe you'll have more wells on there to report the pumpage. Yeah, because we haven't pumped anything. Which might be beneficial for us, I guess, with the timing of some of our settlement that we're in the process of preparing. That all of our current wells we can submit that were tested for PFAS. And that one was tested for PFAS, has minuscule amounts, but could potentially still get some funding if it showed that it was impacted by PFAS, so.
Thank you.
Other question?
You're not done yet, are you, Josh?
What's that?
You done?
I'm done.
Okay. I like I appreciate you getting the SOPs in there. Thank you.
We're gonna hope to keep them going with.
Yeah, we just gotta keep at it, man. I know.
Not with four operators only now.
I know it's
I
okay.
might have to take charge on a few more of them now.
I appreciate you continuing with it.
Sure.
All right,
If there's one more thing utility wise, several of us will be going to the Rim Mountain Metro Sewers District meeting tomorrow. One, just to get a tour and introduce Jamie to the commission over there. We are finding some large BOD loadings in our wastewater, which is adding to our monthly costs from them. So I know Josh has been reaching out to I think it's Badger Labs to help us try to figure out where those which wastewater customer is providing the larger than normal wastewater loadings, so we can try to mitigate that. And then there's also been some pH spikes that we believe are coming from Wasatile. We've been monitoring, but both of those items I do believe are on the Mountain Metro's agenda to be discussed tomorrow. So we're letting them know what we're doing to correct those actions, so.
That that tile, that's been going for a little while, hasn't it?
Yeah.
'Cause I know it's been brought up before.
And we have them usually, you know, they provide us with their data and it's usually pretty consistent, 7, 8. Then all of a sudden you'll get, a 2-hour period where it's, 13, 14. You're going, well, that's not quite right. And then it drops back down, so.
you can put a monitoring station too.
And they have one there, but so we'll be working with Remote Metro moving forward to try to get the gauging systems on our SCADA system as well, so that we can get real-time flow data.
Yeah, because we're too reactionary to it. We'll have Remote Metro contact us with spikes, but then we gotta go, we do have pH probes throughout the system that we're monitoring, but we have to go to the sites, upload to our tablets, then we can see the data, then we can report it. So it's just, we're hoping to get something, kind of a sampling system that can give us some real-time answers of what might be happening, but where do we put them? How many stations? How much are they gonna cost? So we can analyze pH and BOD and.
I think if you look at the business in different district,
Yeah,
it will just show it and,
yeah.
they can find it. All right. Policy discussion and recommendation. Ross Avenue, Riverbend proposed engineering design proposal. Michael?
Yeah, so we put a request for proposals out for engineering design services for the Riverbend to Paul's project. We received proposals from 2 firms, Becker Hoppy and Clark Dietz, who are both in the audience today. So I guess both firms do a really good job. We work with them on multiple projects over the last few years. I guess ideally I'd say just work together, but we always have to pick one. So I guess the recommendation is to move forward with Becker Hoppy on this one. This is a joint project with the town. Did review proposals with Milt Olson with the town of Weston, and guess he was good with the Becker Hoppy proposal. Still working on getting the utility costs split out. So that was one concern of the towns, is that they didn't necessarily budget half of 345 for engineering, but I told them, well, maybe about 50% of that cost is utility design already, so you're looking at maybe a quarter of it, not 50%. They seem better with that, so. I did include the RFP and the one addendum for the project in there, just for your information. Otherwise, I don't really have much else to add.
Recommendation Becker Hop.
Correct, yep.
All right, I'll move to recommend the village board approve a contract with Becker Hop for reconstruction of Ross Ave from Riverbend Road to Halls Ave for a not to exceed engineering services amount of $345,750.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion?
My only question is, will our contribution change in any way based off of the subdivision project that's gonna be going in off of Ross Avenue there?
So that's what I'm trying to write into the agreement. I sent Jamie a draft this earlier today, trying to figure out how to wordsmith it, so if future properties get annexed in, we would take on that proportionate cost, because then it would become a village property instead of a town property, so. Jessica Troutman, our finance director's opinion was, say if they take out a 10-year note, while they're paying off their debt, if say something happens in 5 years, we would probably agree that, okay, what you've paid, the town has benefited from that, but the future payment should be, proportionately decreased or whatever based on the additional land, then that would become village land. And we'll need to have an agreement too with them to put probably utilities within town right of way too.
Likely won't change the split though on design because that
It wouldn't change
Yeah.
the split on design costs. No, that's more construction costs.
future, yeah.
I guess if they came back and wanted, that'd be a discussion.
Yes. Yes. Other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Thank you. Item 10, surplus auction item. Is that what you're here, Jim?
11 and 13. I might have wrote it wrong.
This is 10. Did you want to talk about this one too, or no?
No,
Okay.
11 and 13.
Alright. So as we got more of, as Dan mentioned, we've been trying to clean up the shop a little bit more and organizing. We found, had a little time to set aside some of the pieces of property that are declared somewhat obsolete or no longer of value to the village, mainly because they're not being used, or we don't own the pieces of equipment that some of these attachments belong to. So attached is a list of that property with some of the estimated values. The Joint Employee Management Committee did meet to kind of agree that those were outdated, obsolete items. And then we also have the 7 outbuildings or storage buildings at 5500 Schofield Ave listed. I guess trying to determine a value of those buildings is proven to be a little difficult. Nobody will give us a good number. They'll tell you that what a new building similar to it would cost. And they'll give you a price for what it might be to demo it, but not, I guess there's a potentially liability in moving buildings or trying to reuse them. So nobody's comfortable saying, yeah, that building can be reused and would be worth $40,000, $50,000. So I guess we're not quite sure how to value those at this time.
How'd you come up with it?
We don't have a value, so they'd be going on auction, so I guess that's always the big thing, you usually put a minimum reserve on it. So I guess that's maybe a question,
These get sent down to, or we do that locally, the auction here.
we use the
You just-
Wisconsin Surplus Online auction.
So it's down. It's a couple hours away, really.
They're located in Mount Hor, but everything stays here.
Okay,
They host the auction.
that's, that was
All
my
the
question.
communities in Wisconsin use.
Yeah, I just didn't know
What's the
if
fee?
we had to get the stuff down there and that.
There's no seller's fee, it's all on the buyer. And it's based on the cost of the item that you sell. So the percentage goes down as the cost goes up.
I'll totally take the truck, my kids would love that.
Sure. If you are the high bidder, you can have it.
So for the higher ticket items like that, you'll have a reserve on those?
We would, yeah. And then, you know, say we say we expect $10,000, if it's at 9,500, they'll usually call us and say, are you willing to let it go for something like that? I would say, yeah. I mean, if it's $2,000 and we thought we'd get 10, we'd say, no, never mind, we'll try this again some other day.
Other question?
And if the committee had a strong feeling on what a minimum bid should be on the buildings, we would take that as a recommendation. If anyone had a strong feeling that we wouldn't take less than a certain dollar amount.
These are all in steel. You should be able to throw a number out there.
Put that down and we say.
Maybe it's in the eye of the beholder on.
I thought I'd throw it out there, see what you think.
And we don't,
Steel, they'll probably come get it.
It really, if it's at an
Who knows?
auction, I don't see what the concern is too much, right, about having, I mean.
yeah. It's either that or we pay somebody eventually to come and
Yeah, I was
tear
gonna
the
say,
buildings
because you-
down.
That's what I
Probably
thought.
costs more.
Yeah,
Yeah, because your alternative is not good. No.
yeah.
Ever thought about just demoing that, and recycling the steel, selling it?
Oh, you'll never get your money out of it.
Oh, no?
No way.
Oh,
No, your labor will kill that in a hurry.
oh. Well, no. I didn't know if they come and, like the larger companies just come and just scoop that up with one of their trucks, you know? I don't know.
If they can just throw it in,
Yeah, well, yeah.
they gotta put manpower into it.
I just think of all the material that's sitting out there.
I have no input or knowledge
Oh,
on this.
Accept the motion about surplus item?
I move to declare the property surplus and authorize staff to dispose of the items as listed through the auction site.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it, thank you. Item 11. Jellinek Avenue and Alderson Street intersection design. Michael?
I clicked on the wrong one, yep. So last month, I guess, first of all, Jim, do you want to talk now or after we go through?
You can go, I just had some
Okay,
items to introduce to maybe spur discussion,
sure.
and then permitted to discuss them in a public comment.
Okay, so last month, trustee Pincinel was here, made public comment about looking at this intersection. And I guess a directive was to obtain a quote for a compact roundabout design and bring it back here at this meeting. As we observed, you know, during school times, there are delays at the current four-way stop and also when there's other events at the senior high and Mount Olive Church. And then with the opening of the Green Hack Turner Center, I guess we just kind of are anticipating that traffic delays there are gonna only get worse, not better. So I guess I did obtain a proposal from MSA using a similar design as what they have designed for the Alderson and Weston Avenue intersection. The cost did seem, I guess, in the ballpark of what would be expected. You know, there's still new survey data, there's utilities, there's possibly some right-of-way impacts to look at, so you know, they can use a similar design, but not necessarily the exact same one. So just kind of a I did throw together. I I'd suggest maybe look at moving it slightly more north, just to minimize the impact on the south side property here. And then we still have some room to work within the Kennedy Park property, so.
I think those utility are a problem because each corner has a post in there.
Yeah, I mean, so we try to figure out how we can maybe maneuver that so those are,
I don't think it could, it's too close to it.
well, you'd work with the utility companies for relocations.
If you go underground, that would be nice.
Yeah, that might be an option for them.
Yeah, I think it's nice. So intersection is free and,
Yeah,
okay,
I was more concerned about the water sewer infrastructure, making sure that we don't end up with our sewer manholes right in the middle of the roundabout, and sewer cleaning would essentially back up traffic or make it so that we can't go one way.
And that is adequate for bus traffic?
Yeah, they are. The middle is completely mountable, so buses would still be able to drive over that. But it'd be,
what is,
I thought we were talking about a
Giving them our
roundabout
bus
there
traffic.
already. Weston and Alden.
Weston and Alderson. This is Jelnik and Alderson.
Gotcha.
what is that two green line coming down?
That's the driveway.
South side, what is it?
That's the driveway here
Oh,
for this duplex. So part of it is, you know, we might even want to look at trying to shift this a little bit west so that this driveway isn't as close. So again, this was more or less, they took the line work from Weston Alderson and plopped it there and just said, yeah, that looks like it.
Yeah, I
would
think
work,
when
but-
Jim brought this up initially, we were thinking of moving it a little northwest to cut in the park and not encroach on a duplex or quadplex, whatever that is.
Yeah, so,
so you think
We have that, that's our
yeah.
land, so if we had to shift it a little bit. What about, we couldn't do a turn lane though, it's not big enough.
Not without
I didn't think so.
buying some extra.
Yeah.
so
So this is
you
a-
move it to, you're talking move it to the north?
Northwest toward the park.
Yeah, but you make the road askew.
Well, the way that we.
But it's, I mean, the intersections at the roundabout, you don't necessarily need you know, if the road comes here, how do I put it? A roundabout doesn't necessarily need to
Yeah, not
be
necessarily sure.
perpendicular. It's just the entry legs
You
would,
just open it up on coming in there a little
Yeah,
bit.
there you go.
I know what you're saying.
and that-
Yeah, I mean, rather than encroach on,
I mean, I'm not saying a dramatic one, but trying to just
yeah.
get you a
Just
few
do- just
feet
do
out
it.
of the way.
You know, you're not talking a huge shift there, just enough so we're not taking out their parking lot.
Yeah, and then even the hill coming down is fairly steep
Yeah.
right there. So,
Might even have to put a wall up. They just redid that.
so.
I don't know. Is this up for discussion or is this?
Yeah, I mean, so I have a proposal from MSA attached. If it's something we want to try to move forward with.
We have to
what
do
did-
it.
I'm sorry.
We have to do the project. I mean, this project being dragged for years.
Well, what was their, did they did the survey and everything already? What was their recommendation?
Well, they haven't done the survey yet. They haven't done any
Yeah.
work. No.
So this is the initial to do the survey and then give us a recommendation. That's $73,000.
79,100 would be the full design, bid documents.
Well, can we get like the little hey, we did the survey, we took the traffic count, we took a look at the land, like 3,000
Yeah, well,
before they went the whole thing?
so we talked about that the last meeting briefly, or maybe that was at the board
We kinda
meeting.
got designs
Yeah,
ready.
well, and the idea was, well, if the desire is to put a roundabout there, do we spend the extra money on a study just to already do what we think we're going to do? So that was the question.
I'm thinking on the study, is this gonna tell us the size of roundabout and how it should be designed and built more than we need a roundabout? It's more, this is the roundabout you need. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, the
And
signs.
that's my thing with the survey,
Yep.
you know, is to, and I know don't have a lot of land to work with there, but it's a high traffic intersection. It's always.
The traffic count
Oh,
will stay the same.
Yeah, no, I drive like 5 blocks the other way just to go around it in the morning. But,
If you did a study, how accurate is, are they, would they take into account what the increased traffic flow is estimated to be?
They
You're
could
not
try
gonna get- I
to,
mean, you're not gonna get anything accurate given
Yeah.
that facility opening.
yeah, well, I think too,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's a really good
I mean, you're
point.
gonna be wrong.
Yeah, yeah,
As soon as you finish the studies, you know it's not gonna be
Yeah.
accurate.
and you generally look at peak hour, you know, can it handle peak hour traffic? So I would think that,
that's a really good point
you
though,
know,
like,
they,
what considerations have we taken into that size of that facility and how much traffic's gonna come in there now?
Yeah, cause you're gonna.
That
get-
whole road infrastructure in that area might need to be looked at.
Reopen it.
Well, I mean, think about, I don't know, I mean, they're talking about hosting a lot of things there, you're talking, so 2-lane roads.
yeah, I mean, the same, they have, the main constraint is the driveways in and out of the parking lot too. So, I mean, we can build the road as big as we want, but
I
they
don't,
only have the two little ways to get in and out of it.
I mean, he makes a really good point, like, I mean, that really hasn't even come up yet, like, how many people are they planning on pushing through there on a weekend?
Yeah, but at least on a weekend, you don't have the school traffic that you're dealing with too. I mean, it's,
That's a good point.
I mean, the
There's still
rush.
a lot of people driving
Still a
down
lot of
there.
people, you know, but the
Yeah.
rush is everybody's getting to school at whatever,
Yeah.
7:15 every morning. So you got every kid trying to get their parent drop off, bus
Does
traffic.
the school have any other modifications for those entrances?
They don't
Or
know.
parking lots?
What they've done for parking lot is pretty much done. I
What they're
mean,
gonna do.
I think there's actually one more,
An overlay they.
Well, with that north side, they opened up, that flow is pretty good.
yeah.
They should probably think about a stop sign at some point. It's really close to that intersection.
Should we hear a public
Sorry,
comment before we get
sorry.
into debate?
No, that's.
Jim,
I'm just curious what he has to offer on it.
Jim Hudson, 502 Earl Street. I just had a couple of ideas, like 4 of you are gonna hate these ideas, but, what was the cost we just literally put or are putting in 24 stoplights on Mesker and Schofield Ave? So cost wise, if it's $87,000 or, I'm sorry, $79,000 just to engineer a roundabout. This is a super high traffic area and it's only gonna get worse, 25 to 50,000 expected visitors to Green Neck Turner. And that's before we overhaul the 5 parks or add 5 fields to Kennedy Park if that ever comes to fruition. So that 25 to 50 is set to increase on top of that. With the close, I like the idea of the roundabout in the rural area on to the south of that, Alderson and Weston. But here with the hill, with the close proximity to the park and Green Neck Turner, the aquatic center, people crossing all the time. And then you've got, if you go back to the picture with the all the driveways there, so you've got crossing, you got driveways in and out there, you got the apartment complex there, and then pedestrians in and out of there. We're talking to some drivers that may or may not even have the driver's license, they got a learner's permit, they've got whichever, and they have a hard enough time in a 4-way stop. If we put these guys going downhill in winter into a roundabout, you may as well just put another guy in every semester because he's gonna be there every afternoon. I think a 4-way stop is appropriate now. It stops that traffic, but it doesn't flow well. But a stoplight, even though the traffic count probably isn't there, might be more with the land constraints appropriate. And then you can program that and dial that in to take into account if we had a bunch of other traffic from Green Neck Turner. Right turn lanes would help significantly as well if we can shift that to the west. We can't take up a whole lot of property to the east. And then the cost of the roundabout, so that was $79,000 just for the construction documents. What's it physically cost to build that roundabout? There's a large cost share, and grant funding for the other roundabout. But that's why I asked what the dollars actually were for stoplights at Mesker.
I mean, if you want, the design cost was a little over 60,000.
For design, but then
We don't
I mean,
have,
all in,
we
we don't know
didn't
what it is.
bid it yet. And that one, a lot of the conduit for the traffic signals was put in 2000 as part of the Schofield Ave redo in anticipation that someday there would be traffic signals there. So,
So we'd have to put conduit. in.
we would have to, yeah, it would be a complete intersection redo no matter what. So
Regardless if it's light or.
regardless of lights or roundabout, the entire intersection, the pavement is
So we're
all,
doing that either way.
yeah.
Who has the public safety data on, and I'm not, I just don't know myself, is a roundabout safer or less safe than stoplights?
Roundabout
It's,
is much safer than any stop at any intersection with the light.
That's what I thought.
You can have at least 70 different accidents. Okay, the roundabout, maybe 2, and they are rubbing.
I just wanted, because you mentioned safety as being an aspect, I wasn't clear that that's really the case.
Now, the other
Yes,
thing
and
is,
safety
Jim,
for-
excuse me, Jim. You mentioned, you said this roundabout is for traffic. The roundabout designed to take higher traffic. You go to larger city, to Madison, let's see where they put the roundabout.
I agree with you, Bushing. My concern is the close proximity to the park, and sidewalks and physical students walking in and out of there, how close are these driveways? So you'll never get out of that driveway. It's a four-way stop now. I assure you, you will back out of that duplex driveway at 3:30 in the afternoon, because it's a four-way stop. When you make that roundabout, you may as well plan on not leaving your house until 6 o'clock at night.
They shouldn't even give them the permit to put the right driveway in there. That's dangerous regardless, whatever.
Planning, Jennifer's not here.
Yep.
and we,
Building is.
we do have
There when I
the,
was in high school.
Yeah, that building's over 30
I mean,
That was probably dirt.
we have a person on staff who lives on Jelnik, and she will tell you that from whatever, 6:45 until 7:30. She either needs to leave her house before that time or after that time, otherwise she's not getting out of her driveway. And she doesn't live here, but she lives a little further down, but has, so the traffic on that corridor is there no matter if you're stopped near an intersection or if you're on the corridor itself. And the Weston Ave and Alderson one has similar driveways that are close where there's provisions, I believe Rothschild's working out with those owners on their access and how that can be realigned, but it is doable. You might only be looking to turn right out of your driveway though, at getting out left, so you might have to go around the block.
You're right.
Do you have more comment? Jim?
No, that was it.
Okay.
I just, the stoplights and turn lanes, or even if we stop and turn lanes, just the safety is my concern, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
And we do have issues even with the hill currently with stopped traffic and cars hitting their brakes and sliding and rear-ending people in front of them, so. Well, just because in the wintertime it does get, slick coming down.
Is there ice?
So I know that does happen currently, so,
Well, I mean, you'd have to regrade that whole thing.
yeah, that's where, trying to push it.
I mean, you could do that, and if you're gonna redo the intersection, you might as well grade it out.
Yeah.
Where are we going?
So, yeah, I guess that was just the topic I was asked to,
What's the scope of the service for them? Are you gonna come back with us, make a recommendation to do roundabout with the light? Or they just gonna go to the roundabout?
I was under the impression I was to get just a quote for doing the roundabout design, so it does not have an analysis for traffic signals or anything else in it. It is strictly what level of effort it would take them to design the
Okay.
roundabout.
Yeah, and that's with the survey and everything in that for 79.
Correct.
I think, I'm sorry, I think one of the hard things is when we were in this meeting talking about this last month is we were kind of encouraged to skip the steps that we're now trying to figure out what those are. Like, we're basically told, why are we spending the money to figure out what kind of intersection we need when we know that we need fixes? So now we've skipped spending that money and we've kind of jumped to the assumption that a roundabout is needed without knowing what is actually needed scientifically, I suppose. So, I mean, I think we're doing our best with what we were encouraged to do, what we're trying to figure out what to do. I agree that intersection that southeast corner is going to be a problem because we want to be good neighbors and we don't want to impact the people that live in that area. I would argue that they're already heavily impacted by traffic in that area based off of just my own experience driving to the school every day. But I agree. I don't know the right solution. I think, you know, if there's room for us to move it away and still make it a safe intersection, I think that's important so that we can limit the impact on that southeast corner. But is a roundabout versus I'm an advocate for roundabouts, but is it the right solution here? I don't know. I just go based off my gut, I guess, and yeah.
I just, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I would honestly, I would really, if it was any other intersection, like, you know, the one that's to the south, yeah, get the roundabout in there, you know, but did they ever come back to you and they say, you know, we did a traffic study, and we did this, we looked at that, we looked at topography, we looked at everything there, and we did this thing over here, and this Wauwatosa, whatever, right? Doesn't matter. And it was a similar situation, and we integrated this, and it really worked out well. I mean, they don't just come back with like a cookie cutter thing and be like, well, you have choice A or choice B, and that's really all we can think of. They ever come back to you and be like, hey, we took a look at it, you know what, just the uniqueness of it, we've come up with something that might work?
That's actually how this design got put in at Weston Ave in Alderson, is when we initially looked at that. They said, you know, we've got similar intersections we've worked on near schools that have these, you know, kind of peak, you know, time demands, and it really helps with the flow of traffic.
So based off their experience, this really is probably the best option.
It could be, yeah. I mean, you know, we have had 2 studies in, you know, what we talked about, the Mesker Schofield Ave study. We did pay for an intersection control evaluation for that one. That said we should put a roundabout in, and we determined we're putting signal lights in. We did another one for Fuller Street, and instead of going, yep, we should put this in, we said, nope, we're gonna leave it as is. So I guess, you know, in recent years, or in this past 12 months, we haven't set a great precedent of following even through with what the study said we should do. Which is fine, that's why, you know, the board can take information and do what we want, but.
Yeah, honestly, I'd rather have the information and go,
Yeah.
you know what, we're gonna do something, rather than be like, well, we're just gonna go with our gut.
Yeah.
I you know, and I understand, you know, you've got people that live here, and everybody drives through here. We all know what it's like.
Yeah, I mean, my guess is we're probably somewhere around the $7,500, $10,000 range to do a intersection control study. If we
But
want,
otherwise, that's included in the 79,000?
it's not, it is not.
The other question I'd have too is, and I don't know when they did this, but had they given consideration to working with the school to try and, like, let's say you put a no right-hand turn and you're exiting onto Jelinek during 3 to 4:30 or something, you know, so the kids coming out of there don't even go into the intersection. They're forced to go.
I think that might mess up the internal.
I'm not saying it's a
Yeah.
right, wrong, I'm just saying as an example, right? Could you or, you know, you're worried, is there a better way to move them out of there every day? I mean, I understand you don't have much control coming in, but you certainly would going out.
You know, if we had to shift that west too, Roy, I mean, that's just a hill. I mean, they can cut that in, they don't care, it's just a mound right now. It's not like they've done anything to. And we have the park there to the north, we have the hill to the south. If we had to kind of kick it over a little bit to give us the turn lanes, maybe, but.
You're talking about a park.
Yeah.
It is,
Yeah,
it's not gonna work because we got the road in there.
yeah.
So
No, you're
anyway,
talking too much of a shift.
Right.
Yeah,
It just doesn't work. But
So when you're leaving the school onto Alderson from the south side, I mean, there's stickers, I guess, that say, don't make a left turn during these hours because of the high volume of traffic, and you'll watch tons of people every day sit there at that stop sign waiting to turn left. So I mean, I think.
The cop sits there one.
Yeah, yeah, so I think like, we can put put some of those things in place, are they gonna be followed and actually make the impact we want? I don't know.
Not until you start handing out tickets.
I mean, do we have anything from the police department about how many crashes they see there on an annual basis? And I guess the cause of crashes, are they left turn crashes? Are they rear end crashes? Things like that.
Good question.
I mean, I think that could be helpful information in our analysis of this intersection and how it impacts drivers, because I have a 15-year-old student driver right now, and I would, just from my own experience, say he doesn't understand right-of-way turning at a four-way intersection any easier than he would at a roundabout. So I think it'd be interesting to know the kind of, I know they have crashes there all the time because I hear it from my own workplace, what's happening there. I just don't know how many and how they're happening.
Sure.
To your, and to your point, I would just say this, like, we put up some cameras and started doing enforcement for dumping, right? And the response has been what? Went way down, right? It didn't take very much enforcement to change behavior. I think at the school, if you wanted to, first couple days of school, you wrote a few tickets, and I bet through that school in
Oh, yeah.
24 hours, don't hold left, you'll get a ticket.
Okay, what's your wishes? We got the proposal here, and then we have all kind of different idea. What would you like to do?
I personally would like to see us table this item until we have more data about crash information, because we're trying to, as a committee, do the study that we didn't pay for. So I would like to get some data to help us make a decision. That's my personal opinion.
Do we have any gun at all, Michael?
What was it?
Is there any timeline constraint?
Did you say there was a study done years ago though, on that intersection we could dig up or no?
Not on this one, no.
I tend to concur with Louis, just even the public safety aspect for all of it. If it was at some other intersection, I wouldn't be as concerned, but when it's sitting right on your school border, it probably is worthwhile to have the input.
So would your motion table?
My motion would be to table this item until,
I want instead of tabling it, motion to just bring it back at the next meeting with those informations.
yeah, I mean, assuming that we have it at the next meeting. I don't know what
If
they're.
you table it, then we gotta make a motion, take it out. I think when we make a table, we gotta take it over, bring it up again at the end of this meeting. No table.
Okay, I'll motion to bring it up at the next meeting. We can discuss further. Hoping that our police department can provide us the data about crash information at that intersection.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Can you get that information, Michael?
Yeah, we can ask Everest Metro Fort and the University of Wisconsin Traffic Operations Center usually tracks crash data history at intersections as well, so I can grab that from their website.
Do they have a best practices thing for designs near schools?
Yeah, that would all generally go through a true traffic
Traffic
count
count
and
and-
everything else. So I guess the other option, I could ask for what a cost for an intersection study would,
That
Could you please? Yeah. Just give us a,
that way we're
Is there a
not,
traffic count part of this?
so a traffic count would be part of an intersection study.
Not part of this?
It's not part of what they currently have, no. But, so
so that's roughly 10,000.
I'd say on the high end, yeah. I mean, so the services not included were, traffic counts or modeling, intersection control study, that stuff, so.
It's a really important intersection, when.
Okay,
Sorry.
we have a motion and a second, and plus information is part of that motion also. You gotta bring it up. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it, thank you. Item 12. County Road X intersection traffic count study, parentheses Schofield Avenue to Weston Avenue.
Administrator Gabert, myself, and Planning Director Higgins met with Jim Griesbach and Kevin Lang, Marathon County Highway Commissioner and Deputy Commissioner respectively, regarding the future planning efforts on County Road X between Schofield Ave and Weston Ave last month. They figure they're probably somewhere in the 5 to 10 year range out of really looking at that corridor as a whole, but we're interested, it seemed like, to get maybe pieces of it starting to work on improvements, particularly looking at the Schofield Ave intersection maybe first, and then moving south from there. So we did actually have intersection studies done at all those, at the Schofield Ave, the East Everest Barbican and Weston Avenue intersections previously as part of the Camp Phillips Center traffic impact analysis project in 2017, 2018. So the county would be interested in getting some updated traffic counts done so that we can review those items done in 2017 and 2018, just to see if traffic is still the same or if there's other, if there's been increases already over the last 5 years to help with the future projections of that. We'd be splitting the cost 50-50, and the kind of ballpark quote I got from MSA, who did the studies in 2017 and 2018, was 6,500 to 8,000. And they thought they'd probably be more on the lower end. So I guess I figure if we capped ours at 5,000, that should definitely cover us for any costs incurred.
About 5 to 10 years, I think our TIF district going to be close.
Yeah, and so that's our, we can escrow funds, so
Not that long. Can we do it that long?
2031 would be, so the TIF expenditure period is 2026. And then I believe it's 5 years after that is when the expenditure period closes, which would be 2031. So we can still set aside money as long as it's set aside before March of 2026 to say those funds will be used for this specific project.
As long as we can get them done with the TIF money, whatever design come out, I think that would be great.
Yeah.
Other than that, that's gonna be your capital project. Which I don't think is gonna be nice.
Yeah.
All right. You don't have to make a motion on that, right?
Well, I guess I'll just look for, if we want to have MSA do updated traffic counts,
Yes.
I need a motion for
What's
that.
your wishes? I'm sorry. I think it should be done.
Move to recommend the village board approve a contract with MSA for updating traffic counts along County Road X from Schofield Ave to Weston Ave for a price not to exceed 5,000 for the village's share.
He sent you another email. Excuse me, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, there was the email after that, he was saying price is 6,900 to 8,000
Correct.
in that email.
That would be for the total. So we'd be sharing this cost with the county. So at 8,000, our cost would be 4,000, the county's cost would be 4,000. So I put 5,000 in the motion just in case something, just to
Okay,
cover. If we want to keep it lower, that's fine too. But
no, I don't wanna keep it lower.
Yeah.
I thought you should come with the whole thing and say 50% of this is our share, 50% is share.
yeah, so I said 5,000 for the village's share.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Jim, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I abstain on that, Stacy on that vote.
Okay.
I'd like to choose the next one.
Did you have anything to add to it?
No, for the
Who's next?
for the truck,
Yes,
for
sir.
13.
Okay. Item 13. 1 ton dump truck, uplift quoted.
So at the end of 22, we placed a purchase for a replacement 1-ton truck, which we're now getting the chassis for. Back when we originally purchased the chassis, the bodybuilders, truck builders, I should say, weren't willing to give quotes because the prices were still fluctuating pretty regularly, and without having a known time frame, they weren't comfortable providing quotes. So Fleet Foreman Schmidt did get some quotes from the truck equipment, God's Repair, Phoenix Bodywork, and Monroe Truck for the dump body, the plow, and the salter, and then had them also break out some of their labor costs for the pieces to be upfitted. So the Mr. Schmidt's recommendation at the end of the day was to just have staff purchase or work through one of the dealers or multiple dealers to purchase the items and have staff build the truck ourselves. That way we can make sure we get the dump body right away and the truck can be used this summer. And then if we have to wait on the V-box and some of the plow attachments, when we get those in, we can then get the truck outfitted for next winter. But it won't have to sit at a body shop waiting for them to complete all the work.
The labor and the purchase is comprised in the 39,305, correct?
That's just the 39,305 would be just buying it. That's excluding anybody's labor. So it'd be our own labor.
Okay, and okay, and then you're not gonna work overtime to achieve this?
Correct. No, it'll just be part of the regular workday.
Gotcha, okay. Any other discussion?
He had public input.
Oh,
Jim Hudson, 502 Grove Street. So I just had a couple of questions. One, I assume this is the same truck that's on auction to get replaced, the cracked frame.
Yep.
We're making a baby dump truck out of this thing, and salt is 2,300 pounds a ton. Topsoil, road base, whichever is close to the same, 2,000-ish pounds, more or less. As we're 2,000 pounds per yard, not per ton. 2,000 pounds is always a ton, but doesn't matter what material. 2,000 pounds of feathers. Still a ton. Still a ton. So are we overloading these trucks, which is why the frame is cracked?
The frame actually is cracked on the front axle, which we're pretty certain it's from plowing over the years and hitting curb and other hard packed snow banks.
The model has issues. It's right behind the upper controller mount on the left side.
Yeah, it's all the way through on both sides.
So that was one concern I had. The other concern I had was the cost was between $8,000 and $9,000 for the ones that broke it out. Monroe was the less, but they were less for the whole thing, so and we didn't want to go with their equipment, I think, minus their salt box, but the so how many trucks have our staff outfitted, we have experience with, and then so dollars per hour, does it come out if you're paying? So it's 3 to 4 weeks to have those guys do it, they do it every day. So 3 weeks would be 120 hours, so you take 9,000 divided by 120, you're at $75 an hour, or 9,000 divided by 160, you're at $56 an hour. That's not too far off from what and that's with one guy. So if one guy did it here using our pay plan formula, it'd be about 5 weeks. If 2 guys did it, which likely we're gonna have 2 guys do it, not just one guy do it all by himself, it would have to be done in 2.67 weeks, so faster than they can do it at these other places. So if we have no work, no snow to push, I understand that, but otherwise we might be throwing good money after bad by not letting the guys do this for a living.
I was gonna say, given the lack of plowing, they gotta be looking for stuff to do, I would assume, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, our mechanics are mechanics. I mean, they do plow snow, but that's not their main job, you know.
Right.
Their job is to make sure our equipment is up and running and moving. They do generally, you know, the plows in the past. We have upfitted trucks that didn't have plows on them initially, and we have had plows added after the fact, and staff has done that. I know at previous employment, Mr. Schmidt did upfit trucks at Colby and Colby prior to working here. So
It sounds like you've got the record.
I think he's
And it's not right.
capable.
Right.
I guess part of the time too is coming from the highway department. At the highway department, we had a guy that fabricated and rigged our plow trucks, the big ones, okay? And then sometimes when you have the other places do it, like when I was at the city of Wausau, or even here, you look at some of the trucks, our plow truck, that were fitted at other places. I'm not throwing everybody under the bus. But you start to ask the question sometimes, why was it done this way? Then we have to fix something else. And I think talking to Brian, if he figured he didn't have the time to do this or the expertise, I'm sure he would, and the questions are valid, Jim, I understand. It's just, I trust him because it's kind of like with the steel rack. He's not gonna do something that's not gonna be safe. I know, I understand, it's all liability, but.
All right. Other question? What's your wishes?
I move to recommend village board approve purchasing the dump box pound salter individually and have staff install them for the not to exceed price of $39,305.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Thank you. Item 14, portable message board code.
So I guess, kind of one of those things that has popped up over the years as part of our safety, audit internally and things we could do better, as far as kind of marking our work zones, giving public advance notification, kind of having some of these portal message boards, especially working on like Schofield Ave, the larger volume streets having, I mean, the county, when they do something on the highway, they've got, the crash cushion truck, an aero board, they've got a whole train. If we wouldn't have as much, and then also we have rented boards in the past for, street maintenance projects or overlays, letting residents know, next week this is happening. We already send out letters and put things on our website, Facebook, but this is another way to help notify the public of upcoming road closures or incidences. Even, not everybody who drives on a road lives on that road, so we can only mail or, it's just another way that we can help notify the public of upcoming events or closures, I guess.
Is it, sorry,
Go ahead.
is this primarily for traffic control?
Traffic control and advanced notification.
And Dana coming from the highway, I realize people are going 60, 70 miles an hour down our roads.
Yep.
But I have seen these outfitted in the back of flatbeds or whatever else. The added protection for our guys that are on the road in front of them.
Yep.
Because otherwise this thing's towed behind a truck, right?
Yep.
So is there, sorry.
It depends, not all of them are, you can tow them, but if they're LED, they should be sitting.
Yeah.
If you tip them, they won't read them.
Yeah.
These are different too, I'll interrupt you,
Yeah.
I'll keep it short. These are different than what highway uses.
Yes, yes, sir.
They don't have to be the size that highway is because of the fact that you're out on a high-speed road with it.
Right.
This you'll be able to get more characters on and put a better message. Sorry.
And these will be stationary basically then.
Yeah.
Basically stationary, right?
So these would,
I guess my thought is if we got one that you can tow behind, you can use and for multi-purpose, if you, like I said, events, things of that nature, and then maybe another one that maybe sits in the back of a truck and use the truck as a physical barrier to the people.
we do have aero boards on our trucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
What have we spent on rent in the past,
They're 35.
In my head, I went through this and said, we spent 30 grand, we spent 500 in rent last year, so it'll be 6
The only-
years before we.
The places where we rented it for was basically for Ross Avenue with what was going on there by the bridge and everything else. I know they're expensive. They're not cheap. Rothschild's got them. The nice thing about these is you can get more character, you can get a better message on it. And the problem we run into, even like when we're out there on Schofield Avenue patching, you can set signs up. It's not the same. The other thing is they will get you, it's an investment for the future, I guess is the best way to say it. The 30,000 isn't peanuts, but you're not gonna find them any cheaper than that. It will-
Then you can use this for, if you have a water main break, you have to shut the road down, you put that out
Yeah.
and you're.
Rent a flash.
It's multiple uses.
I mean, we can use it as utility, I'm like all fall during our
Yeah,
utility.
you guys have used
Sewer
it.
flushing, we can have it behind our back.
Excuse me,
trucks.
go ahead.
Just one real quick thing, did we look at anywhere else for quotes? And I'm not trying to be, but at transsupply.com, $17,000 for one of these versus the two quotes that we have for 20, what was it, 29?
Yeah, so 29,000, that's for 2 boards.
Well, that's for two.
Yeah, so it was 14,000 each or whatever.
Red flash is
Forgot I
using
said
it.
anything. Sorry.
Yeah,
No, you're good.
Thank you. I'll deal with you.
I would recommend village board approve purchase two portable mesh boards from Rent a Flash for a price of $29,696.
Is there a second?
That's second.
Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it, thank you.
Michael, I want to borrow that on the weekend.
Item 15, creation of a staff engineer. Michael, we got 2 minutes to do it.
okay,
I'm just kidding, you take your time,
yeah.
take your time.
So as we, as Deputy Director Raskowski, I think we noted, in January, Dan's, notified us that he'll be, retiring to move on to his next career, in, 2024 here. And as I look at, kind of the structure of the department, and what we, could be looking at moving forward, I guess I'd like to add a staff engineer in addition to a street superintendent position. Right now, we've got roughly 20 capital projects, working with 8 different consulting firms, 5 intermunicipal agreements, 5 different grant programs, and quite frankly, it is tiring keeping all that in line. And I guess I'd be looking for some help to take care of those items. Be somebody that would be paid for primarily out of the capital improvement fund. We do have some money set aside every year for engineering services out of our utilities for water, sanitary sewer, and storm. It's generally for updating water models, maybe a manhole or sewer lining project, some of those items. So it'd be somebody that would be capable of doing that type of work, and possibly even doing some small in-house design work on projects, so.
If you have interest, you need engineer,
Yeah, I guess I'd envision the person to be a degreed civil engineer, with the ability to have their PE license.
does he need insurance?
No, 'cause it'd be a village employee, like the village has insurance for it.
Liability insurance for his design.
Yes. Cause even I currently do stamp things,
You have to have insurance. Okay.
the
I
village
mean,
does.
you don't have to, if you can afford to take care of it.
Yeah. But yeah, the village has had an in-house engineer previously, most recently it was in the mid-2000s. When that person left, I guess Keith decided not to backfill the position, as I think maybe projects were starting to die down, but we have at least 1 or 2 projects every year for the next 5 years, and after that, we still have we'll have more needs moving forward. I don't see it stopping anytime soon, so I guess,
And then we have AutoCAD and all that for him.
yeah, we do have CAD currently.
There wouldn't have to be any software upgrades or anything.
No,
So,
How are you pulling that one off?
we pay for it.
do you use it or who
Don't
uses
you
it?
have a, you're saying you're gonna share it?
No, I mean, I don't need access to CAD if somebody who's better at it has it.
Okay, then I understand.
Yeah,
I was like, cause they don't let you use that.
no, the village's license would be put on somebody else's computer, not mine.
Okay, understood.
So, HR committee got pushed to the 19th, which is next
Yeah.
week. So what I'd like to,
And this was on the HR agenda, so I.
so what I'd like to do is push this to recommend to push it to the HR committee.
Yep, that's
I
fine.
want, finance director's input on exactly how this is gonna impact the budget.
No, and that's why I put that in there.
I know you did, but I wanna have the discussion with her and I wanna,
Sure.
this is money's coming here and money, because last I talked to her, there wasn't a whole lot of the pie left. So I just wanna make sure that we can cover this.
Did you talk to her about this position, or did you just talk to her in general?
In general,
Yeah, so,
you know how she is.
Yeah. so
So,
that's why I guess I did try to frame it.
No,
so-
no, I
Because the
understand you did
position is
homework.
different than,
I would like them to take a look at it, and I'd like to have a discussion with the director of finance and just make sure that when we put that forward, we,
Yeah.
put it to the village or this committee, and say, okay, yeah, 100%, we got this covered.
Sure. And then I guess for audience members, we are finishing up the Public Works and Utility Committee meeting, so the Plan Commission meeting will start once this one wraps up here. So you're not missing anything. It's a meeting that's dragging slightly late.
I think,
A minute.
So this is maybe more of an FYI too, just for the
Can we
Public Works
condition it?
Committee.
Michael, I think we have to approve the position to show the HR committee and finance committee, we do need the position. Then they can take a look at it to see
Let's push it.
yes or no. I think we approve the position, we don't approve co-hiring or whatever.
But I think that's, I understand how Michael's putting it through here, but shouldn't HR be pushing the position to us? And they were supposed to, right? Because they didn't
We
meet.
approving the
Yeah.
position.
I don't know that it would.
Okay.
I don't know that it would come to Public Works. I think we just wanted to make you aware that it was cycling through that
Oh.
committee process.
Gotcha,
So if you wanted to provide input, you could provide it to HR or to the board. We
Got
just
it.
wanted to make sure that you were aware.
So where'd you get the market average?
So when the PAA did our study,
They had this position specifically in there?
some of these positions, if you look at the actual data of who they gathered for the deputy director position, a lot of them were city engineers or village engineers.
So that's where the information came from.
So that's what I figured it, that's why that would be a comparable spot.
Good with that.
We checked with communities that we feel are comparable that have a similar position that, yeah, got their current.
Yeah, I remember this.
What's your wishes?
I'll move to recommend the village board approve the job description and creation of the staff engineering position, conditional on finance assuring that it is within the 24 budget.
Is there a second?
Also,
Discussion? All in favor signify, I'm sorry. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Thank you. Item 16, next meeting, Monday, March 11, 2024 at 4:30 PM. And also Monday, April 8, 2024 at 4:30 PM. Topic for future meeting. We're gonna have that in section.
Yep.
Information for next meeting.
Correct.
Okay. Remark from administrator,
None.
remark from staff.
Just a quick one, DC Everest Odyssey School is gonna be bringing students here tomorrow. They're studying the forces on equipment. She wants to bring, they're gonna be from, I think, kindergarten or first grade through fourth grade.
are they? Yeah.
Yeah, Sarah Mertz is gonna bring them tomorrow and we're gonna show them some of the equipment and the trucks and that, so
What time?
10:30.
10:30.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Anybody else? None? Remark from committee member.
I have one thing. We were talking about intersection safety by the school.
Yeah.
And I drive a lot between the junior high and the high school on those back roads in there, like Lawndale Street that runs north-south. There's a lot of those east-west intersections. There's not a stop sign or a yield sign. And I've seen probably just in the last month, just about 2 T-bone, accidents there, because the kids are driving back and forth and there is no sign either way. There's no yield or stop sign, north, south, or east, west. So that's just something we should probably look at.
Okay, that was visited a couple years ago, but I have no problem bringing that back because the final recommendation was not in my recommendation.
So I just, from what I've seen and drive there, something needs to get.
Yeah, Lawndale is all uncontrolled intersections.
Yes.
Nothing.
Oh, sir.
I don't have anything, no announcement. I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.